We advise the opinions and views of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
Good evening, Philippines. Maayong gabi sa Tibok Mindanao, Visayas, ug sa Luzon, and I know we're being also watched in Bohol and even in Mandaue, Cebu. And of course, let's not forget, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Ito po inyong Republika, ako po si Erik Espina. Sa gabing ito po ay ang ating panauhuin ay ang ama nito ay matagal ko na pong nakilala dahil nung una kong nadinig ang pagka-suspend niya sa kanyang posisyon bilang mayor ng Cagayan de Oro, ay nakausap ko ang dating vice mayor niya na si Pablo Magtahas. That was my first introduction to his father. And later on, of course, a lot of things happened. Naging senador ang kanyang ama. At nagkataon naman at ang kanyang anak naman ay naging senador din. Pareho po silang abogado. And our guest is in the center of the political cauldron, so to speak. He is a native son of Mindanao. We have none other than Senator Koko Pimintel. Good evening.
Good evening. Mayang gabi, Eric. Mayang gabi kaninyong tanan.
Yes. Senator, let's take a walk with your journey.
Yes.
A lot of people would have given up. That is the common notion for most senators, for most vice presidents. When they have a case ongoing,
An election protest.
they give up. In your case, you did that.
Actually, a lot of people do not even file protests anymore, giving up already from the very start. But in my particular case, although it took me more than 4 years, Eric,
and a lot of money.
And a lot of money, but although we consciously limited the number of protested precincts in order to save money, in order to afford the protest.
Yes.
So, but you know, I never gave up because I really did not believe in the results. The results from Maguindanao honored by the COMELEC. Sabi ko, impossible.
Okay.
Common sense tells me those results were impossible. Imagine, Erica, 98% of voters voted.
Okay.
And then 98% of the votes cast went to somebody.
Okay.
Oh, I mean, and that's in Maguindanao, one of the poorest provinces in the country. So if it's one of the poorest, therefore the transportation system is not advanced. What else? Maybe the communication system, etc. The roads. So how
cannot 98% vote?
We cannot even achieve those percentages in the highest urbanized cities in the country.
Yes.
And yet in one of the poorest provinces, those were achieved. So common sense told me, impossible. And yet, COMELEC honored. Sabi ko, no way. I mean, sobra na po yan. That's why, when we argued it before the Supreme Court, ganun lang yung, ano namin, yung our tack, no? Sabi namin, Your Honors, if you allow tainted results to be included in the national tally, it's like clean water, dirty water, you pour dirty water, you taint the entire...
you spoil everything.
Yeah, spoil everything, the entire results.
Yes.
Well, our pleas fell on deaf ears. The Supreme Court did not issue the TRO to prevent the proclamation of Zubiri, and he was proclaimed by the COMELEC. So sabi ko, I really have to fight for this. No? Impossible for me to allow that those tainted results to taint everything. So, yun. When I filed it, Eric, sabi ko, this is a protest to win.
Okay.
Even if one day were left for me to serve, I will do it. From the very start, sinabi ko na yun.
Okay,
Kaya even if inabot ako nung 2010, that was 2007, no? Inabot tayo ng 2010 elections, syempre, the temptation to run was there, no? Pero sabi ko, no, I made a promise, I made a pledge way back in 2007. I would finish this protest because this is a protest to win.
But behind your mind,
I had doubts.
you had doubts?
Of course.
Was there a certain
My
point,
supporters had doubts. Everybody had doubts.
iniwanan ka ng iba?
Oh, syempre.
Normal.
Alam naman na yan.
Normal.
You come from a political family. Pag matalo ka, may iiwan talaga sa'yo. Pero may
Mga matitira din.
May matitira.
Which is a good thing. Kasi alam mo na kung sino yung mga kaibigan mo.
That's good.
Was there a time that you felt na nanghina ka?
Of course. Talagang nahina na ako nung... Kasi panalo na ako sa revision. But you know, revision results are confidential, diba? Secret. So nobody knows except your count, your opponent's count, and the tribunal's count. So alam mo na that you're winning, and yet, you know, the case gets dragged on, and then I finished na my 2,600 protested precincts. My opponent counter-protested 71,000, Eric. So, and the tribunal said, in fairness to him, let us open his pilot. 18,000 precincts yung pilot niya. Ako yung buong protesta ko, 2,600 lang. Imagine mo yun, ha? And then they opened this pilot, and then they said I said, after opening his pilot, dismiss his counter-protest because he was not able to prove anything.
Yes.
The tribunal said, a divided tribunal, a divided tribunal said, no, he was able to prove something. Let the remaining 54,000 precincts be opened. Wala na. Of course, my spirit fell, my spirit collapsed. Sabi ko, this is no longer legal struggle. Sabi ko, this is no longer good lawyering, which is needed. What we need are prayers. Prayers na, wala na eh. I mean, in spite of the evidence is there, and yet, sa akin, wala kang na-prove, and yet, six of the 9 members of the tribunal said, may na-prove. Sabi ko, we lifted up the protest to God, sabi ko.
Senator, the irony here is Mindanao votes were used, no, for the fraud.
Yes.
And it was used against Mindanaoans.
Right.
Di ba masakit yun?
Tama ka doon. Tama ka. Okay, I will confirm your insight. All my 2,600 precincts came from Mindanao.
Okay.
Yun yung aking protested. So, but also beyond Maguindanao, ha?
Okay.
There were precincts outside of Maguindanao. Specifically sa Lanao del Norte.
Yes.
Tama ka doon. I was the cheated candidate, but they also favored a Mindanao noon also, because Subiri claims to be from Bukidnon. Although not really born in Mindanao, but you know, having won a congressional seat in Mindanao.
Yes.
So he claims to be also a Mindanao noon. So probably it was the cheating was also in favor of a Mindanao noon, to the prejudice of another Mindanao noon. In the eyes of the cheaters, they don't really care. They don't really care. Siguro, you know,
it's the color of the money.
Who arranges with them.
Ganun lang ba yun? Highest bidder yun?
In the eyes of the cheater, maybe it's just who arrange things with them. So, even if it's at the expense of a Mindanao noon, in favor of somebody from Luzon, they would do it as long as, you know, they like the transaction.
And the hard part is, Mindanao is promised land.
Right.
And this is where the fraud is often committed, and this is where the negotiations always happen to alter national results. Presidents, even, and senators.
Unfortunately for Mindanao and the Visayas, but if let's focus on Mindanao first, there are only 2 Mindanao non-senators right now out of 23. Imagine, man. When Mindanao should be entitled to 4 to 6. Ganon din ang Visayas, 4 to 6. Okay. But, ito. Because Mindanao, or specifically Muslim Mindanao, has been known as the cheating capital of the Philippines.
That's true.
Pero this is their chance now. We're giving them a new chance. We canceled their voters registration.
Okay.
So there's an ongoing voters re-registration in the entire ARMM region. So this is their chance to
Redeem themselves.
To redeem, make the first step. Because the first step is a clean voters list.
Okay.
Then saka na yung vote buying, iba naman yun.
Ibang laban na naman yun.
Labanan na naman yun.
So, tapos na yun, nanalo ka, at the very least, should credit be given to your former opponent?
At credit should be given
How much credit can you give him?
to Migs for resigning.
Okay.
Because that also fast-tracked the protest. But there was no way he could have changed the result. He would have been kicked out. Of
Inevitable.
Inevitable, because my lead was already 258,000 votes, Eric. No way.
What can you say that he says it was a systemic fraud and he had nothing to do with it? Could that be possible, that this kind of fraud is really systemic and one can have clean hands and have nothing to do with it?
The area where the cheating in 2007, or the areas where the cheating in the 2007 occurred, already well known as factories of fraud.
Okay.
In that sense, systemic. But but the transactions are done on a per election basis. So that was also personal in that sense. That for 2007, somebody transacted with the syndicates to give this result. And Subiri was the biggest beneficiary of the fraud. Ang sa mind ko lang kasi, that's why sabi ko na posibleng
mga tao niya.
Na imposibleng hindi niya alam. Kasi sa mind ko kasi is, because the syndicate executed the cheating.
Okay.
But who defended the fraudulent results legally in the courts of law? It was already Subiri and his lawyers. So parang if you look at the conspiracy theory, cheating, kami bahala sa legal defense.
Okay.
So still,
imposibleng partido lang ang may kinalaman doon, ano? Na parang nadala lang siya sa partido and he became, in effect, a beneficiary. There had to be, it had to be transactional.
Good point. Pagdating sa Maguindanao, the entire team unity won. Okay. But in the other areas which I protested to include to include in my protest, outside of Maguindanao, it was not team unity which benefited.
Okay.
It was the person.
Okay.
So
there had to be some form of transaction.
So may mix doon. In Maguindanao, it was really the ticket. 12-0 doon eh.
Okay.
But in the other areas, hindi naman 12-0 eh. But outstanding yung performance niya eh.
Okay.
Siya nagtatap eh. So in that sense, it's a mix of a ticket and personal.
So it's a question now of who represented him, who are the people in front of him, or did he take an active hand at all, or just some of his representatives?
But from my point of view,
alam niya.
From my point of view, the mere fact that you defended the bogus, obviously fraudulent results before the courts. He defended it before COMELEC. Then he defended it twice before before the Supreme Court.
Co-conspirator after the fact.
Di ba? Bilangin mo, he defended it before the COMELEC.
Okay.
He hindi pa nga. He defended it before the Provincial Board.
Okay.
He defended it before the COMELEC. He defended it twice before the Supreme Court.
Okay.
And he defended it before the SET.
Okay.
So, sobra na eh.
So parang co-conspirator after the fact.
Ganun na.
Kasi
if you can see, parang ang bola sa amin muna, kami then tapasan na sa yung bola, ikaw na. Kasi legal defense na, ikaw na.
But, even before this, your personal relationships with him, wala namang problema?
Wala namang problema.
Okay. How is your relationship with him?
Now,
on a personal level, how is it?
Now, of course, we are no longer, that if we were, let's say, close before, we're no longer on the same level as before. Because, we hardly see each other.
In short, you'll take a different seat if there was another seat available.
If there were, tama ka.
Parang ganon.
In a party and he's in that table, I would rather sit on another table.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that I am not to approach him, to greet him.
The chivalry is still there.
Ano pa rin naman.
Okay. Well, Republika will return after a few reminders. When we come back, we're going to talk about the 2 weeks sojourn that Senator Pimintel undertook, and we're going to glean as to what process he undertook of self-examination and later on, we'll also discuss what is the future of Senator Koko Pimintel under UNA, PDP Laban, Liberal Party, and maybe we can discuss a little of 2016 when Republika returns. Nagbabalik po ang Republika. Kausap pa rin natin si Senator Koko Pimintel. You told the public that you were going to go on 2 weeks, sort of like a sabbatical.
Yeah.
But even before the 2 weeks, people could kind of glean already that more or less there was a sense that, a foreboding that eventually you would go your own way.
Because before I asked for the 2-week period of discernment, I already wrote a letter to the UNA leadership where I stated my vehement objections to their nomination of Subiri as UNA senatorial candidate.
Yes.
So siguro the choice of words already showed my my way of thinking, my inclination.
But as president, you're also a voting member, no? Hindi.
No, I get to sit in the coordinating council, but we gave the highest policy making seats to our
Tatlo lang?
to our 3 highest officials. You know, we have a former president, Erik Espina.
Okay.
We have the sitting vice president,
Okay.
and we have the sitting senate president. So these are really prestigious positions, naman.
So, what happens? But you're president of PDP Laban.
Yes, but
Hindi ba dapat?
pero Jinggoy is president of PMP, so if I insist, Jinggoy will also be elevated. So tabla-tabla lang. So okay na yun. We just give it to the 3 of them.
Okay, okay. And then, so, how did they take your letter?
Well, in fairness to the UNA leadership, they spent some time discussing about my objections, and then they finally, on a Monday, I forgot the date already, but it was a Monday, they finally announced that in spite of my objections, they are nominating as part of the additional 3, because they earlier nominated 5 candidates. Yes. I was one of the 5.
Yes, yes.
And then they added 3 to the names.
Okay.
So with Subiri there. So in effect, they were not deleting me from the list, but they were now
Adding.
There were now 8 names, and the scenario I was trying to avoid, or I feared, where I will have to run with Subiri already is about to occur. So I told them that, okay, when they announced it on a Monday, I said I need 2 weeks to sort things out.
Okay.
Because my objection is still there. I mean, nothing has changed. I mean,
How many grounds did you-
actually, something has changed. The scenario I fear is already now happening.
Yes. How many grounds did you cite in your letter?
If I still remember my letter correctly, around 5 or 6 grounds. Number 1.
Yes, very briefly. Yes.
Number 1 is I said I am the complainant in the electoral
Yes,
sabotage
yes,
cases
yes,
against GMA and Abalos.
Yes, yes.
And you expect me to run alongside the biggest beneficiary of
Yes.
their fraud.
Yes,
So,
yes, yes.
Number 2, I have received death threats because of my filing of the cases. I have put my life on the line.
Yes.
And then you want me to run with somebody who enjoyed the crime, the fruits of the crime. And then number 3, I said that he accused all of us to be the cheaters because I handled my own protest, so I know what Subiri's camp wrote in their pleadings.
Okay.
So in their pleadings, they said that they are the ones who cheated me, according to Subiri in Luzon. Pimentel. And then when the public did not bite it, he said, the opposition.
Okay.
Who was the opposition in 2007?
Okay.
Former President Estrada, then Makati Mayor Binay, and our campaign manager was even then San Juan Mayor J.B. Ercito.
Yes.
So I told them, he called all of us cheaters.
Okay.
Then, number 4, I said that he's not a team player.
Okay.
So why are you going head over heels recruiting him? He's not even a team player. So I attached the results of the 2007 senatorial elections where
siya lang nasa taas.
at tanan team unity sa ubos.
Talo.
May nanalo isa yata and then lahat talo na.
Okay.
And then what was my 5th reason? I think I gave a 4 or 5. So okay. I've already forgotten the 5th one. I said that I'm passionate about electoral fraud.
Okay.
And then if we are to campaign together, I might say something, which I will have to recall my experiences.
Yes.
If I say something not to his liking, because I mentioned the fraud, I mentioned the beneficiary, then what will happen? Then he will complain to UNA leadership. UNA leadership will sanction me. We're back to the same scenario.
Did they answer your letter? Did
No.
they give you at least the benefit of an answer?
Okay lang. Pero okay na yun because they did not answer me in writing anymore. But when they made the announcement, yun na yun because in effect they were denying or overruling my objection. So, we could understand that was already the answer. So, so that's why I said, okay, give me 2 weeks and then and I agree with them because I think the UNA leadership made some statements that the ball is in my court. I said, I agree with them. The ball is already in my court.
How did they try to convince you? On a one-on-one basis, when you met with President Estrada, did you meet with Senator Enrile? Hindi na.
No, not anymore.
How about with Vice President Binay? How did they try to convince you?
No, Vice President Binay, I met with his emissary or chief of staff, si Benji Martinez.
Okay.
We just talked. They did not really try to convince me. Just think it over very carefully. Because UNA will take care of you,
Okay.
So and then
same with your ninong.
Yes, and si Ninong Erap sabi niya, you will be an asset to any party, you will be an asset to UNA.
Yes.
And then he's forgive and forget. Okay naman
madali naman siyang makalimot.
Okay naman yung forgive and forget, but sabi ko sa kanya, Ninong, I have forgiven Migs a long time ago.
Yes.
I mean, I approached him, I even greeted him happy birthday, etc. But it's also dangerous or wrong to totally forget.
Yes.
Because if we erase everything which happened in the past, then that means we might not learn anything, and then we are bound to repeat things over and over.
And if it's your advocacy, how can you continue with your advocacy?
Precisely. I will be silenced, in effect. So I think they understood.
In the 2 weeks, where did Koko Pimintel go? Who did you talk to? You talk to your father? Did you talk to your mother?
I started with, of course, my party mates. That was my commitment. My party mates. I held some consultations with them. And there were good ideas which came out. And,
can we be privy to some of their ideas?
I mean, some said stay with UNA. Stay with UNA. Some said okay lang if you leave UNA, but don't leave us. Don't leave the party. Don't leave the vice president. And then, of course, I consulted with I have supporters who are not party mates. So,
what did your friends say?
They're almost all for leaving UNA because
they're go.
These are these are the let us say Cory these are the yellow crowd.
Talagang leave. Okay.
So, because wala naman silang, they have no attachment to UNA or to PDP Laban, unlike my party mates, PDP Laban and and of course, my father.
What did your father say?
My father is for standing up standing up for your principles.
He sounded you out first before he gave his advice.
But because he already knew my stand, so and then he said, "Tama yan, tama yan."
Did you consult any religious leader?
Well, si Archbishop Oscar Cruz, I talked to him.
Ganun ba?
And he accompanied me to President Estrada.
And then, what happened? Anong payo sa ni,
Well, naman general. Wala namang specific sa politika. Just follow what you believe in. Follow what you think is right. Ganun lang.
And now you are resolute about the decision that you have made?
Yes.
No turning back?
No turning back.
Dire-diretso na ito?
Ito na. I mean, ito na. I've already crossed my Rubicon.
Okay.
I've made my decision. so be it. Win or lose. Because I did not do it because with the eye to winning. I mean, I will run in 2013. I want to run with a happy heart. I want to be kampante sa, kampante sa loob ko.
How much is, what is the percentage? If we're going to put a percentage here, how much is principles, how much is politics in this case?
When I made the decision.
Yeah, when you made your decision.
But 100% principles. I didn't care about the consequences. Because ganito na lang, Eric, sabi ko, lahat ng politiko sinasabi, matalino ang botante.
Okay.
So, sabi ko na lang, kung matalino ang botante, kung principle ito,
maintindihan nila.
I will be supported by the botante. So, actually, it's also a bet on that particular thesis statement na matalino ang Pilipinong botante.
You are now president of PDP Laban.
Yes.
Okay. What is the reaction of other party mates when they took in Mig Zubiri into UNA? Do they share the same sentiments that you have? Kasi presidente ka ng partido.
Good question. Some shared. Some were also practical. Na, politics is addition. Sama na natin yan. Kasama na natin. Okay lang yan.
Were there some that were more vocal and they sent a letter or they talked to Vice President Binay? Bakit naman ganito? Wala naman ganon.
No, some sent me letters of support. And then I provided the Office of the Vice President copies of their letters. Emails na print out namin, texts, and then letters of support.
Kasi, ang pagkaalam ng publiko, itong PDP Laban, malalim ang pinag-uugatan ito, no? Panahon-panahon ito, no? Meron pang seminar ito bago ka makapasok, no?
Tama po yan.
May kailangan may paninindigan ito, di ba? So, mahirap intindihin yung prinsipyo at yung kailangan ng pamumulitika na tanggapin yung pagpasok ni Mig Zubiri.
Ang mas maganda yung sinasabi mo, ang mahirap nga siguro maisip, bakit divided ang opinion?
Bakit ganon? Bakit? Alin ba? Prinsipyo o politika o yung personality? Ano ba?
Ako nga mismo nagtaka na, sabi ko, ganito na pala yung profile ng party namin ngayon.
Yes.
Na even yung party mates ko, divided.
Oo.
Aminin ko yung divided.
Oo.
Merong nag-support na tama yung paninindigan mo. May nagsabi naman na practical tayo. I mean, at politics addition, makakatulong din sa iyo yan sa Bukidnon, sa ganun. Pero sabi ko, ang ending kasi is
you're not expecting Zubiri to carry you in Bukidnon. Senator Koko, come on, let's be frank about this.
Actually, I attached the 2007 results.
Okay.
He was not able to carry his teammates in 2007. So now I'm not even his teammate. So I'm not expecting anything from him actually. But but yung ano ba
yung partido is taking a hit. Is the party taking a hit with the entry of Zubiri in UNA? Despite the Vice President being there, is the party taking a hit because party leaders have decided we're going to take him?
Yeah, because now if let us say somebody forces the issue within the party, we will see a divided party. That is why the challenge before us in PDP Laban is na how do we now maintain harmony and unity in spite of, ito yung complications, in spite of the party being, as an institution, being a partner to a coalition, while its president, has opted out of the coalition.
Correct.
How do we maintain, kaya it's complicated ito how do we maintain harmony and unity within the party? So now that the Vice President has come back from his foreign trip, and I also came back from my Ilocos and Cordillera trip, we need to sit down because that is the issue. How do we maintain?
And do you explain that in terms of party principles, party policies, or just simply because this is the way that the party leadership has decided it, and you have to take it the way it is?
It's already it's already the factual setting.
Okay,
it's already the fact. Remember, Eric, that I also supported the PDP's joining in a coalition with PMP.
Correct.
Because Zubiri was still not in the picture.
Correct.
And then all of a sudden,
pumasok ito.
Through our coalition partner.
Yes.
So sabi ko, teka muna, that's...
so how do you reconcile all this?
That's why it's complicated. Because sabi ko, that's my prime advocacy. So may pagka-personal na sabi ko na, and then you're talking about my candidacy. You want me to run with him? Sabi, I cannot run with him.
But even if it is personal to you, we're talking about party politics in terms of election fraud. in general terms, without no personalities involved. That should be part of the party principles.
Of course, and that's why a big portion of the party supports me.
Okay.
But there are some, there's some. We also allow dissent within the party, and there's some.
It is the nature of the beast in politics.
There's some dissenting opinion, and although ganito ang kagandahan naman ng party.
Well, I'm going to cut you short,
okay,
Senator. We're going to pause for a few reminders, and we'll catch the answer of the Senator when Republika returns. Okay, we're in the last segment po dito sa ating programang Republika. Senator, ano ba ito nangyayari dito? At the ascendancy of the individual over the party, parang nalilito na ang pati ang publiko, no?
Actually, sa loob nga ng party, it's really complicated. Pero ito yung sinabi ko kanina, no? Before we went on a break.
Yes.
Ang kagandahan naman dun sa party mates ko, although they had a different idea, they have different ideas na let's say, stay with Una, meron silang, they always have a rider or pahabol na sinasabi nila na, anyway, whatever you decide, we will be behind you. So, ganun na yan. So, I expect my party mates to also support me. But, meron kang pinoint out during the break.
Mamaya, itatanong ko.
It's really complicated. It's really complicated. Now, kasi even the issue is complicated. It talks about running.
Yes.
The running for senator, and it talks. Of course, that is personal to the candidate.
Yeah, and there are limited slots.
And then the question is, do you want to run or can you run in the same senatorial slate with the person who deprived you of 4 years and 2 months of your term as senator?
Yes.
So, and that question is addressed to me, not to the party.
Yes.
So when my answer was, I cannot in conscience run, therefore I have to act in accordance with what I believe in. So I withdrew from the. So that's why it's complicated. But I do not want to involve the party because that question is personal to me.
To you, yes.
So, and then the party should, I actually encourage the party to honor its coalition agreement with PNP.
Okay. Before all this happened, si Joey De Venecia and Mig Subiri was our guest here. And I said, if Senator Koko stays with the UNA coalition, sabi ko, and decides that Mindanao should reconcile under UNA and stay to prove that there can be unity in Mindanao. Sabi kong ganon. Will you accept? I said, Migs, that Koko will be a better person than you are because he will stay in the... Sabi niya, yes, he will be a better person than I am. What can you say?
Well, that's no, the better word kasi is too subjective. And actually, that is the outcome that he wants to achieve.
Yan ang resulta niya, gusto niya.
That's the outcome he wants to achieve. That's why maybe that's a biased opinion. But for example, NP, for example, Nationalista is going to field the Ace Barbers.
Yes.
Ace Barbers is from Mindanao.
Yes.
You mean to say, so that we
para magsama-sama lang lahat ng Mindanao.
We have an obligation to run together because Mindanao must have unity. It doesn't follow.
Ngayon, sabi naman ni Senator Cheese, sayang kasi maganda sana tignan. Si Senator Koko at si Mig Subiri parang nagkasama sa isang isang bubungan tapos for the sake of Mindanao. Comment.
Well, kung kaya nga ng konsyensya, siguro kaya, if this happened to Cheese, kaya niyang gawin. But it happened to me, hindi ko kayang gawin. So, and I was honest with it. So, the earlier I'm honest with it, and then explain it to my peers in the PDP laban and in UNA, the better. So, hindi kaya.
Vindication. 2, 3 scenarios. Number 1, if you win over Mig Subiri, vindication for Koko Pimintel?
Actually, I don't really mind.
For your crusade,
I
for
don't
your
care.
crusade.
I don't care. Ang important is I run, I touch on my advocacies.
Yes, okay.
And then I will be happy if the people will give me a full 6-year term because of my advocacies and of course how I performed in a year's time as a senator. So if I win and he wins, so I'm glad.
Okay. You answered the second question actually. If he wins, same answer.
Yeah, same. It doesn't matter.
Okay, it's not a vindication for him either. Okay.
No, it would be a vindication for him.
It will be a vindication for him.
So that's why that it's good that he is running, because they use the issue of forgiveness. Forgiveness.
Okay.
On a personal level, I have forgiven him.
Okay.
Question is, have the people forgiven him
Okay.
for accepting a tainted mandate?
Okay.
So it's good that he is running, and if he wins, therefore that means the people have forgiven him. Good for him.
Okay. But this does not mean that it quiets his title. Previous
No,
title.
that one. But,
that doesn't quiet his title.
I mean, he can now claim that his
has been forgiven.
new term is
clean.
for real.
It's clean.
With the mandate of the people.
He has a clean title. Okay.
I wish him luck and all the best.
Does the ranking matter in terms of vindication? Whoever ranks higher or lower?
Well, if I rank lower than him, of course I will be teased, but I will not. I don't mind. It should not affect me.
Okay. So, you're not leaving PDP, but are you joining the Liberal Party? Hindi rin.
Okay. Wag kasi yung joining, baka joining in the sense of taking an oath. No? Because,
you're being invited.
I will be PDP laban. If I will be invited or adopted by an organized groups,
Yes.
like political parties or even organized
Yes,
associations, so
yes.
I wouldn't mind as long as
Okay.
wala ring deal breaker na positions, conflict in positions on issues.
Okay. Okay.
And with the LP, I don't see any
Walang problema.
deal-breaking difference in opinions. But there are differences in opinion.
Ito ngayon, ang tatanong ko sa iyo, Senator Koko, ha? The Liberal Party will be in coalition with the NP.
I know.
No problem.
No problem.
Yung mga personalities ng iba.
Pero they will be in coalition with Alan Peter,
Okay.
Cynthia Villar.
Okay. Okay. How about the others? Kasi meron pang iba. People from the NPC. May mga
Chis and Lauren.
Okay din.
Actually, Una
is also...
Una considered the 4.
Okay.
And I had no objection.
Okay. So, you're okay with LP pag kinuha ka?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Are you technically, are you already accepting na in case invited, you're going to say yes? More or less?
More or less.
That's a done deal?
Yeah, more or less. Because I need help. I need the help of...
All the help, no?
I need all the help I can get, especially from organized groups.
Do you think the Liberal Party will fill a complete slate? Sa pagkadinig mo, or kulang?
Mukhang definitely.
Kompleto?
Sa pagkakarinig ko, din sila, overflowing with applicants.
So maganda pag napasok ko sa Liberal Party kasi with overflowing and then you're given a reserved slot, no? Maganda 'yon.
I've read about that reserved slot. I hope it's true.
Okay. Ngayon, ang tanong ko, how about Una? Will Una have filled a complete slate or 11 lang or 12 or is it even 13? Ano ba talaga?
Okay, so number muna ha.
Okay.
I think it's going to be 12 na lang.
12 na lang.
12 na lang. To be safe, political parties as well as the COMELEC must plan for 12.
12, okay.
And then about Una, I have already inhibited myself from the Una coalition matters. So
Okay.
I have no idea whether they will be fielding a complete slate of 12.
Okay.
But while I was still with Una,
Okay.
our list was also overflowing.
Okay.
Mga 22 names pa nga noon.
Okay.
So most likely, complete slate.
You're going to expect them to fill the complete slate?
Most likely.
Expected mo yan?
Yeah, because there were 22 names once upon a time.
So, ngayon, ito yung tatanong ko sa iyo kanina, tinanong ko sa off the air. If they fill the complete slate, so they're actually saying to you, kalaban ka namin eh. We hope that you don't win. In simple terms, dapat hindi ka manalo kasi etong 12 ang officially dinadala namin.
Okay.
Not unless, in the back of their minds, they're hoping na panakibutas ang isa dito sa
Hindi
kinuha namin.
Hindi nila gagawin yun.
Hindi rin gagawin yun.
No political party will do that.
Or admit it.
Or will consciously do it. Ask somebody to run and yet,
Yung pala hindi.
and yet consciously wish him, wish that he would lose. No? So ganun na, your conclusion would be right. If
In short, kalaban natin si Koko Pimintel sa eleksyon na ito.
If una feels a complete slate, ganun na nga ang mangyayari. So, it's now up to me to campaign very hard on Una bailiwicks and convince, I have lots of friends in Una and of course in my party, and then convince them to also find a way to vote for me. Ganun na lang. But your conclusion is right. If it's a complete slate, officially speaking, you only vote for these 12. And if I'm not on that list, that means the message is do not vote for me. But since I know that, I will campaign doubly hard or triply hard.
I'm trying to imagine it, no? Kasi you're very particular about standing in the same, stage with, let's say, Miksubiri and the people who are in the stage, no? Because you might have to talk about them and endorse them. I'm imagining a situation where you have a party mate, and your party mate will say, iboto natin ang lahat dito sa Una, itong 12 na ito. And he's a party mate. Paano yun? How
I will understand.
Mahirap yun, di ba?
But I will understand the situation. I will understand. But he should expect a call from me.
Ganun ba yun? And how would the other party mates accept that? You can expect, iboto natin straight itong 12 nating mga senatorial candidates.
Eric.
Diba?
I will understand that.
Walang iiwanan dito, ganun.
I will understand it. I will understand. Tama yun. Kasi nga, yun ang naging una. Now, he's a party mate and he's doing that because he's respecting the coalition. Of Una, and these are the Una candidates. Okay, I will understand it.
And there is no other way to vitiate from, or to try to obviate from...
But I mean...
to try to soften the blow by...
And then since I know him and I know his followers, I can probably skip him and go to his followers and campaign to his followers. So, okay naman yun. Those are all legitimate campaign techniques and tactics. It's actually complicated.
But he can expect a call from you.
He will expect a call from me. Mayor, I completely understand.
Mayor pa ba tawag mo, Mayor?
Hindi, kunyari ba? Yung kandidatong yun ba? Yung leader.
Okay.
Yung local candidate. Mayor, I completely understand your situation that you endorse your 12. No, I'm thinking of the specific locality.
Okay. Not Makati. Not Makati, okay.
And then so I said, baka naman Mayor, on election day, you will remember me. Mga ganun kampanya yan.
It's getting... It's
complicated. Yeah, it's complicated.
Ngayon, puntahan naman natin dito sa sa punto ng dito sa Una na parang for 2016 it's going to be Vice President Binay and Senator Jingoy Estrada. Planchado na ito. Or more or less.
No, hindi ko masabing planchado, pero more or less kung merong pending motion on the table, yun. I mean, that's the pending combination. That's a logical combination. Pero hindi pa planchado.
Okay.
Di ba may kasabihan na, ano ba ngayon, 4 years in politics is an eternity.
Okay.
You cannot really predict.
Okay. Where does the people from the Visayas and Mindanao figure in the formula?
Siguro,
or wala na yun? Kasi...
but you're only talking about the two highest
offices.
Positions. But maybe the senatorial ticket can be biased in favor of Visayas and Mindanao, their senatorial ticket, and then they will consciously elect a Senate President from Visayas or Mindanao. So they could make up for the representation of Visayas and Mindanao in other positions.
I share your optimism,
but
not the reality.
Wala na tayong choice, Eric. We have to be optimistic.
But not the reality. Kasi if you recall, the formula was always north and south yan, di ba? Sa President and Vice President. So parang ang expectations natin are getting...
Pero matagal na break, Eric, Matagal na break yan,
Getting lower and lower, no?
Cory Doy, wala na, That's already Luzon,
But that was extraordinary times.
But following that was Ramos Erap. So Luzon na rin,
So Well, hopefully, when you get re-elected, we can examine the formula again. And kasi parang
Amendment na yun.
kawawa naman yung mga taga-Visayas at Mindanao. I think meron din tayong karapatan siguro na mamuno sa bansang ito, sa Kaya nga Republika ito kasi hindi ito Republika ng Luzon, di ba? Republika ng Pilipinas ito.
Sa umpisa nga ng show, kinumusta mo yung Bohol eh. Kilala yung Bohol na Republika ng Bohol.
Kaya nga, oo. At hindi nakangker ng mga Kastila yan. Oo, di ba? Kaya mahalaga yan. Senator, right now, where are you in your life? What are you preparing for? Are you now focused on your campaign now? You're moving around. Where are you now?
Well, I am moving around because I have this personal advocacy of mine, this disaster risk reduction summits.
Okay.
So, because I myself was a victim of Ondoy in 2009, and then Sendong hit my birthplace, Cagayan de Oro. And on both occasions, I have noticed that the unpreparedness contributed to the disaster. My own personal unpreparedness, the city's unpreparedness. So I want to bring this message. No, you have to be aware. You be prepared and take action. So disaster risk reduction is our collective responsibility. So I'm moving around, and then of course I am the chairman of the Committee on Electoral Reform.
Okay.
That's about election.
Okay.
I have a natural deadline kasi election na sa May 2013, and decisions should be made now because what system to use, all the safeguards, etc., etc. So I'm very busy with that.
Senator Macede said we're caught between the deep blue sea and the
deep blue ocean.
and with this system, with the PCOS machine, we just have to trust it.
Because COMELEC already made the decision. We have to trust. But still, since we have time, let's double check, triple check. I will do the double checking and triple checking. Sinabi ko nga, it's my job to be suspicious of the Smartmatic PCOS machine.
Yes, because you're the primary victim.
But it's good news about but my election was manual.
Manual.
But kunyari, in my search for irregularities in the program, weaknesses, and I don't find any, that's good news.
Yes.
We should be happy that I do not find anything, but I will continue to look for weaknesses so that to ensure that there are no weaknesses in the system.
I think one very strong point that I'd like to give you a minute to is, which I think is a very strong point for re-election, is power rates in Mindanao. I think, that's a very strong...
I attended, Eric, the Mindanao Power Summit, and I was very vocal against the plan to privatize to privatize the remaining state-owned generating plants in the Agus and Pulangi power complexes. Swerte pa pala namin sa Mindanao kasi ngayon ko lang na-realize when I asked my father about the history of this law, because he was the one who introduced the amendment. The policy of the law was for the state to divest, to privatize. And then sabi daw ng my father fought for a section there saying that, however, the Mindanao power assets should not be privatized within 10 years. Should not be earlier than 10 years. So that is why the 10 years have already expired, yet because of this protective provision, we still have them. So, but the decision has been made to privatize. Yet, hindi pa sila privatized. But
so, you'll extend this?
No, so we have to now object to that, object to the privatization, let the state generating assets remain in the state's hands.
Okay.
Because wala rin naman eh. Even if we privatize, the power rates will go up.
And that's what you'll fight for when you become senator?
I'm fighting for it now.
And you will fight for it when you're elected?
Yes, of course.
Okay, yan. Malinaw po. Okay. For the people of Mindanao. Thank you very much, Senator Koko.
Thank you.
Daghang salamat and good luck. Wala na po tayong panahon. Ito po si Erik Espina, palagi pong nagsasabi sa inyo, magmasid, makialam, higit sa lahat po ay manindigan. Dahil wala pong magmamahal sa Pilipino kung hindi ang Pilipino. Daghang salamat, maayong gabi, kaninyong tanan.